recording in progress.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Art 196, an introduction to designing web graphics for the fall or the spring semester 2022. I hope everybody had a good spring break and is rested and ready to get back to work. A quick reminder, there are several of you that have yet to send me the link to your published lesson 7. Please do so. That's an important part of the class and your grade. And again, just email me the link when it's published. And if you're having difficulty publishing it, please let me know. And what we can do is we can have a one-on-one webinar, and I can walk you through the process. Okay? Onwards and upwards. Today we're going to continue working with lesson 9, and what lesson 9 entails is taking the template that we created in lesson 8 and from it generating child pages and learning various ways of adding content. What we were able to accomplish on a week ago, Thursday, is working with this page, Green News, and taking the content that they provided and in the main article here, formatting it, inserting the text and formatting it correctly. The one thing that you should note, or there's a couple of things, but notice that in the main article, we have an H2 tag, and we also have in the right aside, we have an H2 tag as well. They're both green. They don't have to be, but notice that they're the difference in sizes. And again, that's all related to the style sheet that we've created and to refine it so that it's very specific to either the article or the aside, and then we can customize them accordingly. The other thing, one of the ways of customizing these or to refining them is to note that each of these groups, that, for example, where we have green buildings earn more green, that series of the title and series of paragraphs are all contained or wrapped around a section tag. That's a common device used, a type of container that allows us to be, again, more specific, or to specify, excuse me, custom changes that we want in the content. And it helps us to, again, just to do that, to be more specific, to allow us to create kind of a more robust design. So what we're going to continue with today is we're going to work with lists, and hopefully we're going to be able to take some of the content and specify some custom borders around the content to make it more easily readable, just as the lists do as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new child page, File, New. And it's going to be from our template here. I'll go ahead and say create. There we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to add the content that they have provided and add some content by hand. We can, at the end, if we want to go over the asides and review adding the content that we would use for the quotes. And the right aside we can, but more importantly, I want to make sure that you, excuse me, understand how to do lists and understand the difference between unordered lists and ordered lists. They're used frequently in web design simply because the content that you provide on the web usually is in short bursts, and list items make it pretty easy for the viewer to read, and that's important. So what we're going to do now is this is going to be green tips. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. I'm just going to highlight it. When it's in orange, I can type in green tips. Okay. I don't think we're going to have a subhead. So we can go ahead and with that selected, I'm going to delete it. If I need to add it back in, I can. And now I'm ready to add content. Now, if you recall from the last one that we did, what we need to do in order to add content is that we can type it in by hand, or if we come over here to the file, they have resources for us. And in this particular instance, for the green tips, we have the RTF, or rich text format. That can be from any number of programs. It could be from just a plain text. It could also be from imported from Word. It can be imported from any text document that you want. So I'm going to go ahead and double click to open it. Okay. And it won't open in because it is text. It won't open in not an HTML document. It won't open in Dreamweaver. But what we can do is we can copy the content and paste it. Notice that it's broken down in paragraphs. We have at home, and then there's one of the main headings, and then wash clothes in cold water. This all relates to being conserving water and other items anyway, so that we're working with the green awareness and action. So what I want to do is I want to take, and I'm just going to hit Command A or Control A to copy everything, to select everything, then Command C to copy. Now, if you recall, if I click in here and I paste, I lose all the paragraph breaks. So what I need to do is I need to switch from live view, and this is bears repeating, switch from live view to design view. I'm going to go ahead and hit the return key, and then I'm going to go ahead and so that I have add content here. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit Command or Control V. And there, all of the paragraph breaks are retained. Now, the next step is to determine which are the H2 tags and which groups need to be divided or subdivided and wrapped with section tags. So let's go back from design view to live view, and let's do that. Okay. Let's go ahead. So let's go ahead and take each of these groups and wrap them in section tags. And I'm just going to do that. I find it easier to do that in the code view. So I'm going to go ahead here right after it says add content here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the return key. And then I'm going to put in a section tag, an opening tag. And then I'm going to go to the end of where it says home. Now, where are we going to go here? Install. Turn up, okay, install. Turn off lights. I'm trying to remember where we have each of these groups. It's not, there we go. That's at home, and then we have at work. So right after the at home, then we put a closing tag, and right after it, we put an opening tag. So I'm going to go ahead and put, again, closing tag first, section. There we go. Now I'll put another opening tag for section. Got to find the end of that. Let's see. That's at work. And then we have in the community, that would be the third one. Okay, so it takes me a while when you go through that to actually find where the breaks are. So again, I need to add the closing tag. I need to add an opening tag for a section. This makes it easier to control the appearance of these and when you style them by adding that. So let's go ahead again, and I want it before the end of the article tag, and I'm going to put in the closing tag for this section. There we go. So now they're broken into these subgroups here. Now what I can do is I can take each of the elements that are currently just paragraph tags, and I can highlight them like so, and I can turn it into, I can do it in code view, or I can hit Command T, and that will enable me to edit the tag there, and that's not a bad idea. So we can change it to H2. Okay. Oh, I didn't do it. Let's try that again. Oh, there we go, it did. And notice that it's already formatted because from in the green and then the size. So it did work. From the last section that we did in lesson 9, it's kind of a holdover that when you have any H2 tag that's wrapped in a section tag, that it will have this color green and this particular size and have these particular properties. Okay, so let's do that for each of these sections. Same at work. I'll highlight, select that. Again, click on it and make sure that it's highlighted in blue. Hit Command T, and I'm going to change it from a P tag to an H2. And hit the return key a couple of times. There we go, at work. And then we have in the community. So we're just doing these one at a time. And some of this is a little taxing on my computer. I have my activity monitor up to see if if and when I'm kind of maxing out the processor here. So again, Command T and or Control T if you're depending on what platform you're on. Macintosh Command PC Control H2. The return key. There we go. So now we have those, but this is not an unordered list. It might be easier, again, if we go back from live view to design view and highlight each of these. So what I want to do is I'm going to take in here and just click and drag to highlight all the paragraphs inside one of the sections. And now what I can do down here, that's what this little button is in the properties panel. It's really small, but notice that it's right next to the bold and italic buttons there. But it says unordered list. If I click there, notice what it does. It automatically wraps all those in another tag, which is a UL for unordered list. And it adds the bullet points. Now, instead, if you would rather have it in a numerical value added to this, then you go ahead and the one right next to it, if you click on that, notice that it automatically, every time you add a new list item, it will add a new numeral. If I don't use the numerals that often, the ordered lists, I typically, and most people, simply use unordered lists. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the next group, like so. And I'm going to click right here where it says unordered list. And again, take note of what's happening in the code view as well, that it takes all of those paragraphs and it wraps them in a UL tag, which stands for unordered list. And then it takes each of the paragraphs and turns them into LI or list items. Okay. And notice how much, more easily it is to read when you have little bullet points next to those. It really, really helps an awful lot. Okay. So there we have it. Let me go back from design view back to live view. How do I know to do that? Just from experience, and believe me, from semester to semester, I will forget what works best. But there you have it. Now, we still have the right aside and the left aside to add, but what I would like to do before we go back to those is I'm going to go, and we didn't have to add any let me see here. Yeah, there wasn't a need to add any particular new selectors for this, that it worked pretty well as is. Okay. Now, what we can do is, we can come back up here where it says add content here. That again is something that's a paragraph that you could go ahead and add by hand. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add indented content for another one. Okay. Another thing that would be useful too is I haven't saved this yet. So this is going to be greentips.html. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. Make sure that it saves it in the your root folder. And I want this to be green tips. Green. I'm going to use camel casing, and that's okay. Make sure that it's saved inside there. And then probably what we should also do too, where it down at the document title is down here where it says add title here, and just say green tips. There we go. Let's go ahead and save that again. And I have apparently changed green styles a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead, and I don't know when I did that. I'm going to go ahead though and say File, Save All to make sure that everything is working properly. There we go. Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to working with indented text. And I will leave you guys to add the quotes. So if we come back up here, we can see over here in our resources that we have quotes for lesson 9. And if I double click on that, instead of rich text format, it's text. And we can go ahead and copy and paste that as well. But I want to make sure that I get done today the other one, so that I don't waste your time and being redundant. But at the end of the hour, if I have some time, I will come back and I'll do these just so that we have, because it doesn't hurt to review. Okay, so let's go ahead and now work on the next one. And I think the next one is the contact us. Yeah, it is going to be contact us. So a file new. And again, we want to make it from the template. Okay. And the rich text format that we're going to use now is going to be from contact us. What we will work on Thursday, which will take us a bit of time, is to work on the tables and to customize those and to style them so that they really work much better than the default tables. So let's go ahead and click up here where we have an H1 tag, and I'm going to say contact us. And now let's come down here, and I'm going to select, I don't remember whether we need the, let's look at one of the finished ones real quick. So I'm going to look at the finished ones, and I'm going to look at contact us. See if we do need a subhead there. We don't. For general information and questions, those are either put in by hand or it's a part of the rich text format. But similar to what we had done before, we're adding, we're going to cut and paste text and put them in a section tag. But then in addition to that, to this particular section tag, and not all section tags, we're going to add a class that call it profile. And notice to the left and the bottom, we're adding ruled lines to the border. And then we'll have to take the text inside the section and make section tag and make sure that it's formatted correctly so that there is a slight indent. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So let's come back here. And I'm going to go ahead and just, before I do anything, just go ahead and save it. Save as. And I'm going to name it Contact Us. Okay, so that's saved. Now let's go ahead over in, I don't want to do the finished ones just yet. Let's go ahead and green tips, green news, green styles, contact us, got it. Just making sure everything is saved in the right place. Let's go back to resources. And here's the contact us RTF. So double click that. And this one was for green tips, so I'll close that. Let's take here the contact us. And I'm going to go ahead, and they did add for more, for general information, when you contact the offices. And then we have association management, which will be, each of these will be in different section tags. So I'm going to go ahead and again say Command A for select all, or Control A, and then Command C to copy. I'll put this aside. I'm going to go ahead and click here in this first paragraph, and I'm going to hit the return key. And then I'm going to make sure that I go back to design view so that I can paste everything inside there. Okay, so let's make sure that the cursor is in there. Command V to paste. Now all the paragraphs have been retained. Now I can go back to live view, because in design view it looks kind of weird. And I can get rid of this paragraph up here. It bounces around. I don't know why it does that. I can get rid of the H2 tag. I don't need it. So some of those elements are there in the event that you need them. If you don't need them, you can simply delete them, as I have. And then, but it will be consistent from page to page. If you do need a subhead, they will be maintain consistency as needed. Now I'm going to take Association Manager and all the way down to Elaine and put that in a section tag. And then we're going to add a class to it and call it Profile. And that profile is where we will add the borders and where we will, again, add indents as needed to make sure that everything works and looks properly. So I'm going to come down here to Association Management, and I'm going to do that inside here. Again, I find it easier. I guess I could come back. Let's go ahead and highlight all of this. All the way, I don't want all the way down. I find it so awkward to do it this way. Yeah. See, it's just easier for me to go back up and to do it in code view. You might want to select it and then wrap the tag. That's right, let me try it. We do have plenty of time. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag all the way down to Elaine. And now I'm going to hit Command T. And I want to wrap a tag around that. So I just want to wrap the section tag. So when it's working, that's what you want. And now I can take the paragraph here where it says Association Manager. And again, I can select that and hit Command or Control T. And I'm going to change it from a paragraph to an H2. And because it's contained within a section tag, notice that it turns green. But what we're going to do next in a few minutes is we're going to take each of those sections and we're going to add another class to them. So let me come down here to paragraph, education and events. And I'm going to go all the way down to Sarah and hit Command T again. And I'm going to put a section tag, wrap a section tag around that. Whoops. And now what I need to do for education and events is, because it is wrapped in a section tag now, I can go ahead and I can change this to an H2 tag. There we go. I'm going to do it for the next one down here. We have like 3 or 4 of these to do. So transportation analysis. Oh, come on. It's highlights, so it's an orange, and then I can go ahead and I can click and drag to highlight everything else. And then I can hit Command T and I can wrap it in a section tag. So if you prefer doing it in code view, and typically I do, you can. If you don't want to do it that way, then either way works. You know, develop a workflow that's consistent and one that works for you. Now we have research and development. So we're just taking them one at a time here, all the way down to the person's email. And Command T. We're going to put a section tag in here. And let's see what else we have here. I think I did it right. I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, okay. Anyway, it's my daughter. So that was research and development. And that is contained within a section tag, Command T, H2. We got that one done. One more to go. So now we have system, information systems. Notice the difference that you edit it when it's the boxes that wrap around each unit, like either it's a paragraph or H2, whatever. When it's in orange, you can edit it. And when it's in blue, meaning you can edit the content of it. But if you want to actually edit its properties, then you have to make sure that it's in blue. So I'm going to go back here. With it all highlighted, I can hit Command T and put in wrap a section tag around it. And now we can go back up here. And now that it's contained within a section tag, we can select Command T and change it to an H2 tag. H2. There we go. So we have all of our content added. From previous exercises, we've already styled our H2 tags. But now what we want to do is to further define these groups and take each of the sections and make them even more, excuse me, separate them even more so that they're even more visible. And what we're going to do is we're going to add to each of these groups, each of these sections. So the way to select the section is to select any part of this, and then come down to your tag selector and make sure that you select the section. Look, I don't want the article, I want the section. Come on. Let me click inside here. Let's click up here. I'm going to select the section. Okay, so the whole section is selected. Now I can click on it. Now I want to add, and I'm going to create a new class for it. And remember, classes start with a period, and it's going to be profile is the name that we're assigning to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the plus sign here, and a new class would be dot profile. Okay, and hit the return key. No, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to add a paragraph or two. I by accident added 2 paragraphs. I didn't want that. So in code view, I'm just going to get rid of those. There we go. So I've added a class to that. Let me change it and edit it, and then we can go ahead and add the class to the other sections to see how it all works. So now that I've added that, I can go ahead and I can add one over here. Let's go ahead and go to our CSS designer. Okay. I want to make sure that green styles is selected, global, and let's go ahead and let's add profile. So profile, anywhere where a class profile has been added, it will contain these particular properties. So I'm going to go ahead and under selectors, I'm going to go ahead and add that. And I'm just going to add dot profile twice. And now I'm looking at the book here because what I want to do is I want to add the margins. I'm going to add the padding. I'm going to add the border to the left and the border to the bottom and watch what it does. So let's come over here to margins, and we want 0, 25, 15, 25. So we can either do that from here. We can also do that in the box itself. And we can go down here, and we want 15 along the bottom. Remember that it's done in clockwise fashion. Um, 15 along the bottom. And 25 along the left. So that's the first thing that we need to do is, and you'll notice that it's already, and that's a good sign that you're doing things correctly, that it's shrinking the size of the container, the section that it's in. And that's what we're going to do for all the rest. The next that we want to do now is switch to border. Okay. So border to the left, I want to make sure that I select the left one. Let's start with it. We want the style to be solid. We want the width, and that's where I need to look at the book, just 2 pixels. No, 2 pixels. Yeah, that's right, 2 pixels. We'll measure it in pixels, and we're going to put in 2. And then the color is as follows. Let's go ahead and click here. And I'm going to go ahead and put in the hexadecimal number that they provided here. It's CADAAF. CADAAF. It's sort of, yeah, it is a green, but it's different from the other greens that we've used. It's this one right here. There we go. Okay. So that's not right. Something is going on here. So I did right immediately. I did something wrong. So I thought I said 2 pixels. So let's look at the border. I accidentally put 22 pixels. So that's not right. We just want 2 pixels. And that works. Okay. Now, what I forgot to do here, notice that how the border and the text just tuck right up against one another. What we want to do is we want to add padding from the text and push it away. So I'm going to go back over here under padding. Okay, so let's go back under padding here. There's margins, there's padding. And on the left side, at least on the left, we're going to put 10 pixels. So that pushes it away a little bit. Okay. There we go. And now you'll notice that there's a little bit of a gap. Now that's 2 pixels. Now we can add 10 pixels to the bottom. Okay. Yeah, that was it. Okay, so let's go ahead and again, let's go back to the borders. Let's select the bottom. And again, the width, I think they want to be 10 pixels. So 10. They want the style to be solid. And they want the color to be the same as what we've used before. Now, we can make all of these elements different if we want. Just as we're making the borders different widths, they could be different colors as well. We're only applying the borders to 2 sides, and that's it. But notice how much more readable it is now, where we have Association Manager, okay, and how it contain the content in here is isolated and visually much easier to read. So now all we have to do with the rest of these is, again, we've already styled one, that we just need to select the section for each of these and just add dot profile. And they're automatically styled. Okay, so let's do the same down here. And if you have trouble selecting the section, then go to your tag selector down here. And then I'm going to select the little plus. And I'm going to put in dot profile. There we go. And I didn't want 2 of those, so I accidentally added a paragraph where I didn't need it. So it's easier just to go in code view to see where that extra line was added and get rid of it. There we go. There's 1 more to do. No, 2 more to do. Okay. And then I think for us, that will be it for today. You guys can do the asides on your own, or maybe we can finish that up on Thursday. But I wanted to make sure that these 2 important ways of adding and styling content were covered today. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead again and select part. And here, select the section with the section selected, click on the little plus, type in dot profile, hit the return key twice, and it's styled. Actually, all I needed to I didn't need to select it twice, because when I'm doing it, hitting return key twice, it's adding a paragraph. And I don't want that. One more time. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and select using the tag selector, the section. Click on here. Add the plus sign, dot profile. And we're good to go. Okay. So two simple but important ways of adding content and styling them. That's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. Unless, Rogelio, do you have any questions for me before we continue today? Or before we end today, I should say? Okay, then that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. I will go back in here and check the asides, see if there's anything unique that needs to be done and talked about. No, I would do that Thursday. I don't think there is. It's pretty much, we've already formatted everything so far that needs to be formatted, whether you add images and captions or text. And if it's wrapped in a section tag, it will, contained whatever is contained in that will be properly formatted. And definitely for the block quotes, we've already taken care of all of that, and everybody knows how to add that. So that's it for today. We're going to cover the toughest part on Thursday, and that's going to be formatting and styling tables. And we'll learn various ways of importing the tables and the content and styling them. And that does take a bit of work. So that's generally when I make my most of my mistakes, because there's a lot, of detail that you need to pay attention to. Okay. So that's it. I'm going to say goodbye, and you guys are free to go. I'll go ahead and pause my recording and